Get Gutsy episode number 111 with Clint Salter on Are You Happy? Welcome to Get Gutsy. I'm your host, Jenny Fennig, and I am so excited to be on this journey with you. A cutting-edge show blending business and spirituality, Get Gutsy serves up a potent blend of stories, lessons, and tips to help you make a massive impact in the world through your soul's work and your inspired life. No more going it alone, no more excuses. The world needs more brave women saying yes to leadership. Are you with me? Good. Let's get gutsy now. Hey everybody, Jenny Fennig here. Welcome back to Get Gutsy. I know you're excited for our episode because we have great episodes here. We have great guests, and we're really joining forces and uniting in this quest to help leave this planet in better shape than when we found it. And we do that by honoring our gifts, really saying yes to our calling, and knowing that it is our responsibility and truly our opportunity to cash in on our calling. And I'm so excited to have our guest on today. His name is Clint Salter. He and I became like buddies online, and he just has this warm spirit, a very generous heart, so kind. And I had the opportunity to meet him a few weeks back at my coach Jen Kem's event in Brooklyn, New York. Clint came all the way from Australia, and we even got to sit next to each other one day, and we had like assigned seats, and I was just like jumping up and down going, yes, I get to sit next to Clint and get to know him better. And he has graciously agreed to come on to the show and share his journey with everyone here in the Get Gutsy Galaxy. So let me introduce Clint, and we're going to get down to business. Clint Salter is the founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association, BabyBallet Australia and New Zealand, and Raise the Barre Productions, and that's Barre. His mission is to help dance studio owners turn their passion for dance and teaching children into a profitable business. Clint, welcome to Get Gutsy.
Hey Jenny, I am so excited to be here.
Oh, I love your energy. It's the best. You're like just this walking, it's not like you're an exclamation point with coolness attached to it. Like you just have this edge to you. It's this like, you seem so comfortable in your skin. Have you always been like that?
I think I was kind of forced to be comfortable in my skin, to be honest with you, because I went against the mold, as a young male that loves singing and dancing, especially at school. There was a lot of bullying going on. There was a lot of people disagreeing that I shouldn't be dancing and singing and I should be playing football. So I really think that forced me to get comfortable quickly if I wanted to live a really happy life on my own terms.
Wow. And so how did you do that? How did you get more comfortable? How did you learn how to ignore the bullies or just handle that, especially when you were a teen?
Yeah, sure. It was challenging, and there were those times where multiple times where I thought I'm just going to give it all up and I'm going to go kick a ball on a field. I think it really comes down to I had and have still the most amazing supportive mother. I grew up an only child, single mother, and she really ingrained in me so early on, actually, that like my happiness was the only thing that mattered. And so I really believe like that's formed the pillar of my life. And even today when I'm making tough decisions around business or around staff or around personal relationships or finances, whatever it is, I always come back to that core question, am I happy? Is this making me happy, or is this the journey? Is this the road that I've put myself on, but I've kind of gone down the wrong track and I need to get back kind of centered and on the path that is important for me.
Wow. I love that. I love that litmus test. How do you know? Like, how are you kind of checking in? Am I happy? Is it a feeling in your body? Is it kind of how you're showing up? Is it a mindset? Talk us through that process. This is very enlightening.
Yeah, sure. I think, every night I go to bed and I always ask myself, what was one thing that I did today that made me happy? Like, that's my non-negotiable question every night. as I'm lying into bed, because I don't like going to bed thinking about all the things that went wrong or I should have done differently or, kind of the negative stuff. I like to kind of finish on a high note, as I go to sleep. I like to think, what did I do today? What's the one thing that made me happy? And it's rare that I won't be able to come up with at least one thing, and that one thing could have been, I actually had that green juice this morning and that made me happy because I know I'm doing my body good, or I ate that chocolate and that made me happy. It's the small things as well. But I'm very intuitive and I always trust my gut. I mean, that's the main decision maker for me in most circumstances, unless there's a lot of financial risk involved in something. I'm obviously doing the numbers, but I always kind of, I get that feeling in my gut, and sometimes it feels a little bit like anxiety. But it's not the good anxiety, because I think there's two types of anxiety. We can feel anxiety, which is, which can be kind of confused with the adrenaline kind of rush. And then there's that deep, that deep anxiety that like makes you want to be sick. And I think when I'm feeling that around certain things that I know that I'm off course or I need to tweak something, because it's not always about a completely, 360 change the direction. Sometimes it's just I need to tweak something here.
Yeah, I say a lot about business. It's about pivoting. It's about pivoting and just making that tweak. Like if a sales page isn't performing or an opt-in page isn't performing, okay, let's just change some wording around. Let's tweak the headline. Let's put in a different graphic. Let's add this element. Now we have new data, and so we're going to make it better. We don't have to trash the entire thing, but let's take in the information that we now have. Let's not beat ourselves up and go into like a shame spiral and feel like crap because we just didn't know then what we know now. And let's make it better. We have to really look at that in business, that it's just all about collecting data and making intelligent choices with what we have at that point in time. That's something that I've learned from you're close friends with Jennifer Kem, and I've been coaching with her for the last, like 6 months or so. And, she's taught me a lot about the data piece. And, you don't have to get emotional about the data, but rather collect it and celebrate it, and then use that to take your work to another level. Absolutely. Yeah. So Clint, you're in school, you're like really into singing and dancing. You had a mom who supported you, and we're just talking about, that your happiness is the only thing that truly matters. You were able to sidestep the bullying and kind of peer pressure. So where did you launch from there? What were your next steps in your education, and then eventually in the work?
Yeah, sure. So I started, I was at a dance studio since I was 9, and I started student teaching when I was 14. So my nan, I was very close to my nan before she passed away when I was 15, but she was a teacher. And so I always say, I really got my love and my passion around teaching from her, because I've always been a teacher at heart. As soon as I was 14 and started student teaching, I was like, oh my goodness, like I love this. Like I love being able to share knowledge. And I didn't explain it that way at 14, but looking back on it, I can see a direct correlation with how I was then and what got me excited then to what gets me excited now. And so I started student teaching at 14, and then at 16, the studio that I was at was sold to someone else. The studio owner left the business, sold it to someone else. And I had a lot of parents coming up to me saying, you should open your own dance studio. You should have your own dance studio. And I was 16 and obviously having really no idea. I said to my friend, Kelly Lee, I was like, hey, let's start a dance studio. That sounds fun. And so we did.
You were 16 and you started one? Wow.
16. She was 18. We rented out a little recreation center where we could only fit like 10 people in a class, and it was tiled flooring. There was no mirrors. It was just like glass windows. And so when it got dark, we could kind of see our reflections in the in the lighting, and that's where we were for a year and a half, and we built up the studio, and then we moved into our own purpose-built premise as we grew the business. And it went from, I think so many businesses do this, they go from this hobby stage, right? They go from this stage where we start something because we're passionate about it, like total E-Myth, Michael Gerber technicians, hairdressers, personal trainers, coaches in your world that have a specific area that they work in. Mm-hmm. We generally start because we're like passionate. We're like, we love this. We love doing this. And then we get into it and we realize that the passion, the love that we have is only one piece of the puzzle. And then we have to have a finance hat and a marketing hat and a recruitment hat and a legal hat and the accounting hat. We have to put on all of these hats. And that's what's really, unfamiliar. And so that happened to me, thrown in this business, and I was like, this is fun. And then it turned into a real business. And over the 5 years that we had the studio, especially being in a partnership, which was challenging at times, was we wanted different things. We went into it as a hobby business, earning a couple of $100 each a week. It was fun, into, oh my God, this is a business. And, after 5 years, I made the decision that, what, this isn't what I want now or that I can see in the future. And I made a pivot like you talked about before, and I sold my half of the studio, and I went on to work as an agent for a big TV and media personality agency, and I started making coffees and worked my way up there over 5 years to be a senior agent at the company, which was amazing.
Wow. So then you became an agent. I love that. And then did you get to a point in that work where you just said, all right, I'm done here?
So basically what happened there was 2 years in, I was 23. 2 years into that job, I wanted to do something myself. That entrepreneurial spirit that so many of us have, like it just keeps coming up and up and up. It's like, come on, you need to do your own thing. Yeah. And at that point, obviously being in love still with dance and musical theater and entertainment, I thought to myself, you know what, there's an opportunity here to create an online magazine for dancers and performers. Back then, So You Think You Can Dance was just about to start. There wasn't a lot of kind of dancing on TV, but I knew it was about to go mainstream. And there was nothing in Australia that was kind of opening up the dance world. It was a very closed world. So I started a business called Dance Life. It was, like I mentioned, an online magazine. I got 20 writers on board to write articles for us every month. We posted like the latest news that was happening in dance. And I took out 4 loans. That first website cost me $25,000. Got 4 loans to fund that. My full-time job as the agent was paying off my loans. And I, again, one of the greatest things is, my mum, has worked hard worker, and I get my hard work ethic from her. Worked in banking for many years and has done some account management roles for a property management company and now a kitchen company. But, it was really... Yeah, it was just really an interesting time as I kind of started this business, because I was like, Mum's like, yeah, go ahead. She hadn't been burned before by running a business. So she was like, yeah, because I think that's a thing. Like, I see people that want to start their own business and their parents are like, it's hard, we've done it, it'll crush you. And so I didn't have that. My mum's like, go ahead, knock yourself out, get 4 loans. And so, I wouldn't be where I am without her, really kind of supporting and basically us both being very naive to what could unfold. And what unfolded was a business that made no money. I thought I was going to build this amazing directory, like the yellow pages for dancers, and people would pay for a listing. But no one wanted that. No one wanted to buy space in my online directory. And so one day, I remember this very vividly, someone sent me an email. They were a retail, like a dance retail business. And they're like, hi, we've got your information. We don't want to be in your directory, but could you send out an email to your database about a promotion that we're having? And I was like, I could make money like from sending emails to my database. And we'd probably built at that stage maybe a database of like 5,000 or 6,000. I was like, maybe I should start a newsletter and sell banner advertising. And so that's what started kicking off the income in the business. So completely created by a need from our audience.
Yeah, and which is the best way. I want our listeners to take that in. Your audience tends to tell you what they want. People are coming to you saying, hey, could you do this thing? And you may not have ever thought about it before. You were just head down creating your other thing that maybe nobody wanted, or too small of a number wanted, it wasn't going to work. But then when your audience is coming to you with questions and requests, listen up, because they often are giving you that idea of your best next program. That's how my coaching school started. People were asking me to teach them individually how to become coaches, and then how to have a business as a coach. And I was doing the best job I could one-on-one. And then I said, there's got to be a better way. Like, there's got to be a way to leverage this and then teach more people. And, and here we are. I love that. So did you send the email for that company?
Yeah. So we sent the email. I charged them like a couple of $100. We sent the email and made it value. I think the one thing that people used to do it a lot 5 or so years ago, but incorrectly, is they just send what they call an email blast, and they just give information that's not valuable. So we made sure there was value in that email, but also talked about their store and how they could help, and that went really well. And so then I started the newsletter and started doing some different, like we put a media kit together. We had different advertising packages that were available. And then from that, I started a dance competition called Dance Life Unite. And that was the real, that's when the business really shifted and turned into a real business, because we have like that hobby business. I was still working at the agency, and then I started this dance competition. And again, one of my main philosophies is, I never want to create the next Uber or Airbnb. I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is, and this is what we do now, with our business when we're looking at new opportunities, is I look at what's popular, and then I really kind of define, how can I make this process or service better, right? Because I think everyone's kind of looking for the shiny object. Like, what is, like I said, what is the next Uber? What is the next Airbnb? I'm like, hey, why not just stay in your lane, look at what's currently working, and see, like, how can you make this better? And it kind of draws back onto what you said, listening to your audience. We don't release anything new now until we've done extensive research and reached out to our association members to say, hey, do you want this? Or if we see a pattern, people, like last year, everyone kept asking for studio handbooks, because dance studios have handbooks for their teachers, their students and parents, and their recitals and concerts. And Mel from my team was like, hey, Clint, you know what? We need to write our own handbooks, because every week someone is asking about handbooks. And so we did that this year, and it went so well. And every week we're selling handbooks still, even after we came out of that launch period. And more importantly, though, they're helping the studio owners to move forward.
And you just listened to what your audience was saying. They were talking about, hey, I need a handbook. Does anybody have this? And then you all just jumped on it and said, hey, we can do this. We have the expertise. You have the community. You've really built it up over time. And so that's one of your products that just automatically is being sold from your website, in addition to a big launch that you put behind it.
Yeah, exactly. We did like a 4-week launch. I think we sold 400 or 500 handbook packs over that time, which for us in our market was fantastic. And even I just laughed, because like 2 days ago, someone saying, oh my God, I love these handbooks. They've saved my life. And like weeks and weeks of work, because a lot of work went into them. But, we've got this pool of amazing studio owners. We have just over 500 in our association at the moment. And, we're talking to them, every day inside our Facebook group, in our newsletters, in our challenges, in all of the training that we provide monthly. And so it's great. And I often laugh when they'll post in the group and say, we're thinking about running, a workshop, a winter workshop or a summer camp. What theme should we do? What theme should we do? And I always go, ask your audience.
Yes.
Go back and ask your parents and students. Put a big thing on the wall if you want that has tallies where they can vote for their favorite workshop. Like, get them involved. And this isn't just around dance studios, for everyone that's listening. Doesn't matter what your business is. Doesn't matter if you have a list of 100 people or 50 people. They are going to tell you what they want.
Yes, and people want to be involved in the conversation and in the evolution of what it is that you're putting out there. I love that. Very insightful. So how did you go from the dance competition business into what you're doing now? Really, having this association for dance studio owners, was that the next step for you, or was there something else in between there?
There was something else. So I created Dance Life, created the dance competition, had that business for 5 years, and then I got offered this what I thought was the role of a lifetime, and it was to be the touring manager for Jersey Boys the musical.
Wow.
And I am such a fan of musicals, and a few years before I went to New York and met with some agents and some producers of shows, and I said, look, I want to get into this. I want to get into the musical industry. I want to be on the business side of things. So, whether it's a production assistant or coordinator. And one of the guys, Craig from Telsey, said to me, Clint, you should really, with your agency background, you should look at being a touring or a company manager. I had no idea what the role was. And essentially you manage the entire cast and company of a show to make sure it happens, and dealing with pays and workers' comp, and that wasn't the fun stuff. There was fun stuff, the PR, the cool stuff. And then I came back home, spoke to a couple of producers. They were like, we don't have anything available. And I was like, okay. And then the funniest thing happened. I just, it was on the vision board, right, for a year. And then I was sitting at a cabaret show in Sydney, and the whole cast of the current Jersey Boys production was sitting there at the show, and I knew a couple of them and said hello and whatever. The next day I had an email from the producer of Jersey Boys saying, hey, Clint, I've got a role for company manager to go on tour. We want to meet with you. It was like insane. And so it was crazy. So within a week, I had got the position. I decided I was going to sell Dance Life, and I was leaving my job at the agency. So I sold Dance Life to an amazing user, like someone that was one of our audience members. I just put it out to our database. At that point, there was probably, I don't know, maybe like 10 or 12,000, and just said, hey, I've got this great opportunity. I can't run Dance Life anymore. I'm selling it. Let me know if you want to buy it. And so we had a whole bunch of interest. And then, when it gets down to the money, there's only like 2 people left. There's only two people left standing. And I picked one of them, and Chris, who runs it now, is so amazing. She's grown the business. And I'm really proud that it is still making and making a bigger impact. So that's great. So, went on to Jersey Boys and lasted 9 months. Basically, it wasn't the dream role that I thought it was. And I came home and basically had a meltdown for like 6 months, thinking, I was 27 and I had been going since I was 14 and 9 months, and, was flipping burgers at McDonald's for, as soon as I could work, I was like in McDonald's, like working as well as teaching. And life stopped. And, the really interesting thing for me, what I realized during those 6 months of like stopping was that I'd always tied my identity to what I was doing, not who I was.
Right.
So I never had time to go, so who is Clint, and what do I really want? And so my relationship broke down at that point. I was kind of moving around houses, and I was like shit, what am I going to do? Like, basically I was like, this is not what I'm used to. And so having that space to really sit with yourself was scary and challenging and horrible at times, but so needed. Because I'd been go. I needed to kind of go, all right, let's really start now. What do you want to do?
Wow. Yeah. And you sat with that. I give you so much credit because I've been there. It's like when I quit my last corporate job, not knowing what I was going to do next, but just knowing, me too, I totally identify with your statement that your identity was tied to what you were doing and not who you were. And so you just start kind of being who you think you're supposed to be, instead of getting in touch with who you truly are. And when you strip all that away, it is terrifying and liberating all at the same time. And if you can stay in it, like just stay in that process, stay in that fire, you will come out on the other side stronger and lighter and you. And so you're in this process for 6 months. You're going through, like, things are falling apart, relationship ending, moving. How did you find your way out?
So a couple of ways. The first thing was, I wanted to take 6 months off and not work. I'd sold the company. I could afford to take, 6 months off. And during that time, I was obviously thinking ideas for businesses. And I came up with this idea to create a matchmaking agency. And so I was like, hey, I've got lots of single girlfriends who need a husband. I could create a matchmaking agency. So I came up with this concept of an offline kind of boutique matchmaking agency that didn't just kind of deal with the love side of things, but also looked after, all aspects of your life, including like I brought on an expert like for a health coach and a stylist and, just to kind of get all of those areas happening for you. And the company was called Found You. And I was in the early stages and I went to Australia's largest online dating website called RSVP, so similar to Match.com. And I just emailed the general manager kind of out of the blue, had no idea who she was. Hey, I've got this idea. I'd love to talk to you about it. And she wrote back like within literally 2 hours and she's like, great, can you come in on Friday? I'd love to talk to you. And I was like, okay. And so I went in. I pitched her my idea and she said, Clint, that is a horrible idea. I don't like it, but you've had experience running live events, obviously through, running my concerts at my dance studio and running our dance competition and the stuff with Jersey Boys. She's like, our singles live events have really plummeted over the last couple of years due to, online apps and online dating sites popping up. Do you think you could help us rebuild them? And at that point, I was kind of like over having time off and I was like, sure, I can do that. And so I was consulting to them. It started 2 days a week, turned into 3 days a week. And, I built up, they were basically doing like, I call them passion dash events where, you have a big Saturday night party and everyone, just wants to make out with each other. And I was like, you know what? I was like, that's kind of fun for some people, but what if we did higher ticketed events that were based around activities? So I introduced cooking classes and bowling and hiking and like more kind of intimate dinners where you would rotate. So like speed dating, but not speed dating.
Right.
And introduced those events, and within 3 months, like we'd increased their revenue by 300% putting these events.
Amazing.
And so I was like, hey, and I was having like the best time ever. And then during that time, I went to an event around like being a coach, being a mentor, because I was like, you know what? I just love teaching and that's my favorite thing to do. And so maybe I could be like a marketing coach. I've had all of this experience. And so I went to an event with a guy called Matt Church who runs Thought Leaders. And I met a woman there called Christina Guidotti, who is actually now I'm sitting in her house at the moment. And we started kind of chatting and I ended up working with her to develop my intellectual property, my IP, because as we know as a mentor, as a coach, a consultant, is that what's really valuable is us creating our own IP, our own intellectual property that's going to make us stand out from every other coach or mentor that's out there. And so I started doing that, and it was mainly around just like marketing, attracting clients. And then one day I had a dance studio owner ring me. And by this stage, I was like, I need a break from dance. I just need a break from it. I've been in it all my life. And a person that I knew from the dance life business, Sarah, she called me and she's like, hey, I've heard you doing kind of marketing consulting. Do you think you could help us with our dance studio? And I was like, yeah, sure, like be easy. Mm-hmm. And so I started working with her, and like within the 3 months, I was like, oh my God, like I love this. Like this is good. And not only was I loving it, and I think I was loving it because they were getting results and things were shifting for them. Mm-hmm. And then what I'd learned from working with Christina through the thought leader methodology, I had all my own intellectual property then. Mm-hmm. Like I created a one-on-one mentoring program for 3 months where like every second week I walked them through what we would now call like a module, which is in my online program. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, wow. And then more people started contacting me about dance studios, but I still had a couple of random clients, right? I had the gym, I had the accountant, I had the lawyer, mm-hmm. I had the graphic designer. And so I was kind of, hanging on to all of these kind of random industries as well. Mm-hmm. And then I started studying Jeff Walker's product launch formula and also Brendan Burchard's total product blueprint, I think it was called. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, I can turn this dance program into an online program. Like, mm-hmm. and then I don't have to talk to like 8 people every single day, 5 days a week. I mean, I got to the point in 2015 when I had 150 one-on-one clients that year.
Oh my gosh.
It was insane. And so at the end of every day, I was like, that was amazing. But I was like, oh my God, I'm exhausted.
I'm so tired. And you're saying the same things to the individual people. You're like, I can't do this anymore.
Saying the same. Hey, Clint, can you talk to me about like how I get new students? Can you talk to me about how I get new clients? I was like, oh my God. And so I was like, I need this online program. And so created the online program towards the end of 2014, and followed literally step by step what's in those programs, and did a webinar. And I think my first webinar I sold like $5,000 of my 12-week online program, Studio Success Formula. And I remember like ringing my mom and I was like, Mom, this is so exciting. I just like spent 90 minutes on a webinar. She's like, what's a webinar? I was like an online kind of training. Mm-hmm. And I was just like so excited. And I was like, this is awesome. And then I just kept doing webinars. And then I was like, you know what? I think I need a strategy. Mm-hmm. And so I had a really deep conversation with my friend November 2014. We're at dinner, and she said to me, why don't you just be the dance guy? Like, why don't you just work with dance studio owners? Why are you working with all of these other businesses? It's not your sweet spot. Your sweet spot is dance studios. You know it, you love it. And I kind of sat there, and there was like 2 feelings I went through. The first one was like an absolute lightness and a sense of relief. Like that just felt like, like I felt like I could breathe again. Mm-hmm. But then what instantly took over that was, is there enough dance studios to buy my program? Like, can I make a business out of that? Mm-hmm. Is it going to keep selling? Like those questions that we kind of go into self-doubt. And I was like, but then I don't want to be the dance guy. What happens if it doesn't work? How am I going to then be able to transition back to being everything to everyone, mm-hmm. which is what I'm doing. And so I set myself a challenge. I said, right, to make myself feel comfortable, I was like, I'm going to give myself 12 months to be the dance guy. And if being the dance guy doesn't work, I can always go back and do something else. Mm-hmm. The one thing, and I thought about this as I was walking along the beach yesterday, the one thing that I know for sure, and Jen Kem always says this as well, is like, I know I can make money.
Yes.
Right? So I know, and we all can, right? Like each one of us can make money. We've all got skills, knowledge, wisdom. We can all make money. And so like knowing that provides a real sense of security. Mm-hmm. If it's worst case scenario and and it didn't work out and I had to go back and do consulting again or get a job, I mean, I can still make money. I'm not going to be out on the street.
Right.
And so, I gave myself the challenge, 12 months, be the dance guy, don't do anything else. I got rid of all my other one-on-one clients, mm-hmm. and I just started to sell this 12-week online program. And that's that's really how 2 years ago, how the dance coaching business started.
Love it. So what was the name of your 12-week online program?
So it's still going. It's called Studio Success Formula.
Okay. All right. So do you have pretty much, what are your core offerings then? You've got Studio Success Formula, which is your 12-week online.
Yeah, so now how we kind of work in the business. So the umbrella company is called the Dance Studio Owners Association. And what we had with Studio Success Formula is I was working with a coach at the time, James Schramko, who is amazing. And James and I were fighting over the price and how I was going to package up my program. So I said to him, I just want to charge like $1,000 and they get the program for life. And he's like, no, you should do a membership site that's $47 a month and that's it. And I was like, no, but like this is too valuable to like give away. What happens if someone comes in at 47 and then they leave the next month, right? This was my thinking. And so I call it we compromised. And so what we did is we had what we call our independent study version, which is $599, and you just get the program and you get the program for life, but there's no support, right? Or you can get the program for $399 plus $47 a month, and that's going to get you to be part of what we called our VIP group back then. And so our VIP group was essentially membership, but it was just called the Studio Success Formula VIP group. And in that group, they access to a Facebook group where we help them kind of progress in the program. And then they also got additional trainings each month to kind of keep them on the path to moving forward. And then that shifted last year when I started working with one of my coaches now, Ryan Levesque, which is how I know Jen. And Ryan's like, hey, this $47 a month VIP thing you've got going on? Why don't you create like an association or, make it like a proper membership offering, where it's, a monthly fee of $47, but you can sell it outside of just people wanting to do, if people don't want to do Studio Success Formula, it's a great way to get them in at a low price to get to know, like, and trust you.
Right.
And then you can, upsell them into the program if that's the right fit. And so, yeah, that happened last April. We started the association, the membership. And that's kind of the core of our business now. So if you look at our core offering, it's like the association, $47 a month. We have just over 500 members in that. For that, they get, access to us in the closed Facebook group where Mel, my member success director, and I are in there answering questions, as well as all of our other members are helping each other out. So it's a beautiful community. We then have they also get 3 things every month: a member makeover, which is where I do a 20-minute mini coaching session with one of them, a masterclass, which is an interview, and a Q&A pre-recorded session that we do based around a theme every month.
Oh, cool. So the Q&A, you get the theme and they submit their questions or something and you just record it and offer it up?
Yeah, definitely. So nothing's dependent on me being live.
Oh, I like that.
Because I travel too much.
That's why. That. So our listeners take that in. If you travel like Clint does, or it's just harder for you to nail down a particular time for you, then get some ideas from what they're doing over at the Dance Studio Owners Association, a member makeover. And so are you on with, are they just submitting something to you and you're giving their feedback and then just submitting, like putting a video up in your forum?
So the member makeover, they apply to be one of the people. We do one a month. So they apply, it goes through to Mel, and then she vets them and picks someone that, picks a question that she thinks everyone's going to benefit from. And then I get on the only thing that's live, but again, it's to our schedule, is I jump on a call, a 20-minute kind of power coaching call with them, where we talk about their issue and their challenge. And the reason that I introduced that was because I thought it would be kind of really helpful to kind of deal with people kind of one-on-one, because they're all facing similar challenges. But I knew that I wanted to introduce a mastermind offering as well. And so what I knew was that, you know what, these people actually need to see me coaching,
yes.
you know, because if I go to them in 6 months' time with, hey, I've got a mastermind, they're going to go, okay. But what I wanted to do is for people to go, oh my God, I love your style. I love your directness. Yes, I want to apply for the mastermind, or like, you know what, I'm okay in the association. I'm getting enough, you know, from this at the moment. And so there was like those two main reasons I introduced the member makeover.
I like that. All right. So the member makeover, you connect with that particular client, they apply, you do the Q&A based on some questions that come in, and you record something and put that out. And then the masterclass, are you teaching that yourself, or is that you're bringing on a
so
guest?
The master class is like a guest interview.
A guest interview. So you're bringing on somebody who can help your members grow their business or their confidence, their mindset, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, depending on kind of, again, we're always looking in the group for what they're after, and then Mel will seek out an expert in that space.
And is that scheduled that they come on like, hey, we're going to do it at 2:00 on Tuesday, or you just...
No, that's pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded, and you just offer it up to your community. What kind of technology are you all using on the back end to run the membership, and so they can access the materials?
So our membership site is done through iMember 360, and it was created in Learn, like the theme or whatever it is Learn Dash. So that all integrates with our Infusionsoft. And what we did this year, because we literally had a membership site for every separate thing that we did, I was like, you know what, we need one platform where they have one login, and then they can see what they have access to and what they don't. And so the members are really loving that. And so, yeah, inside the association module, there's the different categories, student attraction, and the student attraction module has masterclasses, member makeovers, Q&A sessions that relate to that specific subject.
That's awesome. Cool. Thank you for that insight.
Yeah, no problem. And look, and then we throw in bonus things as well. Like we've just done a done for you template, which is a script for when a parent calls up and wants to find out more about your dance classes, like what to say, or we might throw in a challenge. So, you know, and I mean, we could have a whole episode around retention, because that's like the one thing that, you know, my team and I are so focused on is, you know, we definitely want to keep our members, but what keeps them with you is, you know, them moving forward, progressing and getting results. So, you know, a question that comes up at least every 2 weeks is like, how can we help them get, you know, how can we get them further along the path? How can we help them get unstuck? How can we help them accelerate their results? So we're always thinking around, you know, what can we create for them that's going to help them, you know, move faster forward and build that momentum as well. So they're building the confidence, because what a lot of people say is like, oh my God, like what you've instilled in me is just like belief that I can do this, you know, and I'm like, you can, you know, like, and most of the stuckness, you know, when it gets sticky is not around what button do I click in the power editor for my Facebook ad, but it's like, you know what, it's the persistence, it's the momentum, it's that, you know what, you've got this, like you totally knock this out of the park. Don't get stuck on the little stuff,
right?
You know, it's the little stuff, easy to get solutions, but it's building that momentum and having the persistence.
Right, and just seeing this opportunity that's in front of you, and trusting that you can do this and you are doing this, and that, you know, the lives that you touch, I would guess too, with the, you know, dance studio owners, a lot of the people who are taking the classes are kids, and so you're impacting families and communities, and, you know, where this goes, where a student might take their dance experience when they're a kid, like how that's going to affect their whole lives. I mean, there's so much juice in there. There's so much goodness.
Oh my God. So much. I always say, like, dance class is so much more about dance than, you know, teaching dance classes. It's about building amazing human beings, right? That's that's what happens in a dance class, right? And whether you're an adult that's just going for fun and to be social and meet people and get exercise that, isn't running on the treadmill, or you're putting your little child as a 3-year-old into a baby ballet class so that they, you're getting them away from the television and the iPads and the technology and getting them in front of other people and, nurturing all of those senses and building their skills. I mean, it's a game changer. And I know, I mean, if dance wasn't part of my life, I'd be a completely different person. But what it gave me, and when you asked around, how did you get through the bullying and all of that? I mean, dance was next to me that whole time.
Yes.
So,
it is a therapeutic thing. And even recently, my kids and I will appreciate this. I don't know how it happened, but somehow they figured out how to we have this Sonos. I don't know if you all have Sonos in Australia. It's like music boxes that you can put throughout your house, and that you can like hook up your computer and it'll read off the playlist, and then you can, it's like your whole house can be playing the same music and whatever. So they figured out how to do it, and we were doing like literally a dance party to Eye of the Tiger, the song Eye of the Tiger, and it was so fun because my oldest son has been kind of going through something with his own self, getting older and feeling like he can do things, he can do hard things. And I just saw all of us, my 7-year-old, my 5-year-old, my 2-year-old, and myself, and we were just rocking it out to Eye of the Tiger on like that. repeat. And I was kind of like, wow, I forgot that, I trained to become a yoga teacher prior to me finding coaching and getting into online marketing and everything that I'm doing now. But I weave this into my retreats and the teaching that I do with my clients, my coaching clients, of, look the tiger in the eye and like, just punch into the air like what you're afraid of and just push away all your doubts. And I realized, wait, I can do that with my kids too. And there's something really therapeutic about using your body. And I'm just so happy that you came on the show today, Clint. You have just wonderful energy, and I know that you're going to touch so many more lives with your message. How can people find you online? How can they stay in touch with you? And maybe there's some dance studio owners out there, or potential ones, or those who have family members who could use your help.
Yeah, sure. So they can go to our website, dancestudioownersassociation.com, and they can find me, on social media, Facebook, predominantly Facebook. I'm on Instagram, and I'll post like once a week a picture of the ocean, and that's about it. But look, find me on social media. You can contact us through the website if you've got any questions. Look, everyone that's listening, you're obviously doing great work because you're a part of Jenny's awesome community, and I've met so many of you on my travels. So you've got a great leader here. So take on kind of what I talked about today, what the conversations, and like move forward, because I think one of the things is that the world needs more people that are helping others. And I think this is exactly what your podcast is about and your message is about and what you teach in your coaching school. So I'm grateful for you for just the amazing work you're doing and how you're inspiring so many people to step up into their purpose.
I receive that, and I appreciate that. I do believe that, we're feeling that around the world right now, in light of just, especially here in the United States, post-election, there's just a lot, and I know you all are feeling it in Australia. I have many friends over there who are like, we're feeling things too. We're in it together. I'm like, yeah. And no matter where we kind of land on certain issues or leaders, the world does need more people who are helping others and doing it from this place of love and kindness, and that we are all one. So yes, that is the rally cry. Finale question, Clint. What is the gutsiest move you've ever made, and how does it inspire your life and work today?
I think the gutsiest move was when I was, still consulting to that, RSVP, the dating company, 3 days a week. I had a lot of security. I had, a couple of $1,000 coming in a week from that gig, and I was kind of coaching on the side. And my mentor said to me, you need to quit that consulting job and you need to focus all your time and energy on your coaching business. And I cried for like 2 weeks making that decision. Like that was so tough because I was so attached thinking that this consulting job gave me security,
Yes.
right? And so when I finally made the decision, I remember calling her, crying, going, "I've done it." And I felt like I wanted to vomit and I wanted to celebrate. And I think, like, for me, that was a really huge shift for me. You know, backing, like I said before, backing myself 100%, going, you know what, you can do this. And as soon as I did it, you know, I think my first month in coaching, I probably made like $10,000, and I was like, I've got this. You know, like I can do this. I can make this happen. But at the time, you know, it was a couple of months of you feeling very anxious around making, you know, really stepping into that and making my decision. But again, you know, we can create our own lives, right? Like it's so available to every single one of us. If we drop the excuses, if we take responsibility, like, we got it and we can do it. And so that was the gutsiest move, and that, you know, that inspires me now. I always think when I'm making, you know, we're in some negotiations with some big projects at the moment with specific like partners and other businesses, and they're scary. But I always think back to that moment and I'm like, you got it. You know, you got it. You've made this decision. You've made this decision before.
Yes. You've made this decision before. And as we move into new levels, we're going to, you know, have new terrain to travel. And it can feel scary because we feel like we haven't been here before. I don't know what this looks like. But that's why I love asking this question to my guests. What's that gutsiest move? Because I learned so much, and I kind of will remember certain things that I did that might connect into the story that, I mean, the one that you shared, I'm like, I know an exact moment in time when I had a very similar decision to make. And it was when it was like, but the security, you know, we kind of cling to the security, but the only secure thing is that you are secure with yourself, and that you know that no matter what, you're going to land on your feet. You'll know how to make money. If you know how to solve problems, you know how to listen to your audience and pivot, then you're going to be just fine. Clint, you are fantastic. Everybody go check him out. He's a ray of sunshine, and I'm going to follow you on Instagram anyway because I want to see the ocean because I don't live there.
you can see I'm looking at the ocean now, seeing my deck. You can see my one picture a week of the ocean.
I will definitely see your one picture a week. I am looking out at lots of trees. It's dark here because it's getting late. I know we're in totally different time zones. I've got mountains where I live, but I know I'm going to get over to Australia at some point. I just interviewed one of my most recent graduates of my coaching school. She's out in Australia too. She's a breath of fresh air. Y'all should connect sometime. Claire Wardley, just passing her name on to you. She helps plan events for people like you, and she's spectacular. That's why I love Australians. You have this joy de vivre. You have this thing where like, let's just go do it. Like, we're just gonna go do that. Like the Australians, I know that's a generalization, but I recently talked to her and I just thought of her as we were wrapping up our conversation today. But I will get over there and I'm going to hang out with Claire. I'm going to hang out with you, and we're going to have a blast.
Awesome. I would love that, and I would be happy to help make that happen.
Fabulous. Everybody, awesome. Thanks so much for tuning in today. This is Jenny Fennig sending you so much love, light, and faith as you get gutsy. I will see you next time.
Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and you're listening to Get Gutsy with Jenny Fennig. Gutsy leaders unite and ignite.
This episode of Get Gutsy was brought to you by Get Gutsy Coach Training School. This is the program teaching the future generation of coaches how to make a difference and a great living. So, if you haven't figured it out by now, I have built my business around this calling of a coach. That is what my podcast is based on. My book is based on that. The courses and programs that I've developed over the years have really allowed this calling of me being a coach to get unleashed in the world in such a massive way. And I am able to be a confident coach because I went through coach training. I learned what it took to be strong and supportive for my clients, and also how to be a phenomenal entrepreneur, a smart marketer, and a savvy business owner. And I realized that there was a total gap in the market for those of you out there who want to train under a successful coach, a successful entrepreneur, someone who walks her talk, is able to provide that gorgeous sacred container for you to claim your expertise and gifts, for you to package up the gorgeous value that you add to the world, and for you to be able to create a lifestyle that is beyond your wildest dreams, for you to be able to help as many people as you care to during this lifetime. And truly, being a coach is just, it's completely epic. So we are in the throes of our enrollment period for Coach Training School. I invite you to check it out. It is going to be absolutely extraordinary. We'd love to serve you in Coach Training School. Come on over and check it out. It teaches you exactly what you need to know now to truly make it as a coach, and you will not find anything in the market quite like this or at such a huge value. Come check us out, coachtrainingschool.com. That's coachtrainingschool.com. Gutsy coaches unite.